Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. Ethan is my fiancé, yet he announced at his birthday party that he was going to marry another woman. Everyone looked at me in shock. In the awkward atmosphere, I led the applause and gave him a ring as a blessing, wishing him a happy marriage. Soon, I took off the ring from my finger and handed it over, but no one accepted it. Ethan looked at me with a dark expression, and the girl next to him awkwardly grabbed his arm. I sighed and placed the ring on a nearby table. I randomly pulled someone over. It seemed to be Matthew, who always liked to follow Ethan around. He looked at me with confusion. "What's up, sis? Have you been drinking?" I asked. "No." I threw him my car keys. "Take me home." "Sure thing." After walking just a few steps, Ethan rushed over and grabbed my arm. "Elizabeth, what do you mean by this?" I rubbed my temples because a product detail was leaked ahead of time. We had to start over and worked all night. After the morning meeting, I went to a nearby city and didn't get back until the afternoon. Then I went to get you a gift. I originally just wanted to say happy birthday and leave. I raised my wrist to check the time. It's 8 o'clock. I have a meeting at 10 o'clock, and my flight to Paris is at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Little master, I'm too tired to hang out with you. Ethan looked completely bewildered. I was really exhausted. My temples felt like they were being drilled. I didn't say anything more. I broke free from Ethan's grasp and left. Matthew drove me home. When I got out of the car, I casually gave him the birthday gift I had prepared for Ethan. A set of car keys. Ethan had wanted this car for a long time, and I put in a lot of effort to buy it. Matthew gasped. "You're giving it to me?" I responded with a yeah and said, "Take the keys and go to the dealership to pick it up." "Thanks, sis." His gratitude felt genuine. "Are you planning to break up with Ethan?" "Yes, the engagement will be canceled. If anyone asks you, you don't need to hide it." "Got it, sis." This time, Ethan really wasn't considerate. You should have taught him a lesson a long time ago. I smiled and waved him off before going back inside. After showering, I forced myself to stay awake for the meeting. As soon as the meeting ended, without needing to decompress, I collapsed onto my bed and fell asleep. When my secretary opened the door the next morning to wake me up, I felt dazed. It felt like I hadn't slept at all. I just closed my eyes for a moment. My phone was filled with unread messages and missed calls. Some people were curious about what was going on with Ethan and me. Some gossiped about whether I was breaking up with him. Others were concerned about how I was doing. Most had the same attitude as Matthew, suggesting I really should teach Ethan a lesson. Everyone thought I was just messing around with Ethan. After all, in their eyes, Elizabeth was madly in love with Ethan, having lost all sense of boundaries. Ethan was the person I first developed feelings for in high school. Back then, he was so flamboyant and dazzling that no one could ignore him, including me, so I confessed to him. "Ethan, can I be your girlfriend?" Ethan looked at me, seemingly indifferent. The top student, I don't like good students. Because of Ethan's remark about not liking good students, my youthful impulsiveness led me to do many ridiculous things. I dyed my hair, got my ears pierced, got a tattoo, skipped class, and went to bars. I started hanging out with Ethan until one day, he brought a girl dressed in white into our midst. He said, "Let me introduce you to my girlfriend." I suddenly realized he didn't dislike good students, he just didn't like me. Ethan was not one for long-term relationships but had many romantic interests. He had many girlfriends. Later in our sophomore year, we got engaged, skipping the boyfriend-girlfriend phase. We directly became fiancés. This struck a nerve with him. He grabbed my neck and questioned me. "Are you willing to go to such lengths to be with me? Don't you know that I will never like you?" What did I say back then? Oh right, I remembered. I told him, "It's okay, I don't need you to like me. I just need you to marry me." From sophomore year until now, Ethan has been my fiancé for 6 years. Throughout these 6 years, he has continued with his ridiculous behavior. He has flirted and dated different women. Sometimes I even helped him clean up the mess. Each time I would only ask him one question. "Did you sleep with her? What's the big deal?" Whether I did or not, I told him, "If you did sleep with her, you'd be free." But he's quite strange. He has countless women around him, yet he never touches them. I don't know what he's holding out for. It had been 3 days since I returned from Paris. In those 3 days, I hadn't contacted Ethan at all. However, people in our circle frequently updated me on his whereabouts. For example, the woman he said he was going to marry has already been sent away. He's been hanging out at bars every day, and his family has threatened to disown him. Additionally, the car I gave to Matthew was bought back by him at double the price. What surprised me even more was that I saw Ethan after getting off the plane. Even wearing sunglasses couldn't hide the pallor on his face. He said, "My dad asked me to take you to our house for dinner." "I'm sorry," I replied. "I have something to do and can't make it. I'll personally call Grandpa Ethan to apologize." Ethan looked at me, and after a moment he turned and left, leaving behind a cold, "Do as you like." I didn't pay him any mind and drove straight home. It wasn't that I was brushing him off. I truly had something to attend to. Grandpa called me, asking me to come home for dinner. Though he mentioned dinner, it was really just an excuse for a lecture. "I heard you had a disagreement with Ethan. He was trying to give me a way out, but I didn't take his hint." "Grandpa, I want to break off the engagement with the Ethan family." Grandpa's expression darkened. "I allow you to be upset, as our Elizabeth family isn't to be bullied, but I do not agree to let you break the engagement." "Grandpa, I want to break the engagement." He slammed his hand on the table. I obediently knelt before him. "Do you know how much loss we incur if we break off the engagement with the Ethan family?" Of course I knew. It had been 6 years since our engagement with the Ethan family. In those 6 years, our cooperation with the Ethan family had become quite robust. Not to mention that we share both the glory and the losses. At the very least, separating would cost us dearly. What if I can recover this loss? Grandpa calmed down. He gently tapped his fingers on the table. "Then we'll talk after you recover." So, after leaving the old house, I sent a message to my counterpart, President Lucas. "Do you want a wife?" Lucas is the typical other people's child in our generation. No matter who it is, at some stage in life, you always hear someone in the family say, "Look at Lucas." A well-rounded elite like him wouldn't stoop to interact with us frivolous kids. I only started interacting with him after taking over the family business. How should I put it? He is indeed strong but not invincible. For instance, last month we both bid on a piece of land. I beat his psychological price and narrowly came out on top. This has made me quite proud in our circle ever since. After sending the message, Lucas didn't reply for a long time. At 11 at night, he finally reacted. I sat up in shock. I laughed joyfully while holding my phone and called him directly. "President Lucas, are you busy?" Lucas chuckled politely. "What brings President Elizabeth to call me?" I got straight to the point. "Does President Lucas have any thoughts on the question I asked earlier?" Lucas was silent for a moment. "Wife," I gasped. I took a breath. That was quite a direct approach, wasn't it? Should I return the favor? While I hesitated, he spoke again. "Is President Elizabeth still moonlighting as a matchmaker?" Good thing my mouth didn't outrun my brain. Mainly because President Lucas is of marrying age and I have a suitable candidate on my side. I wonder if President Lucas has any thoughts? Dead silence. The quiet was like a flute playing a parting note. Silence was tonight's version of Cambridge. When I picked up my phone to check, the call had ended. What the heck? I certainly wasn't going to give up that easily. So the next morning I went straight to Lucas's company. Seeing me, Lucas took off his glasses and rubbed his temples. "Does President Elizabeth have something to discuss?" Playing amnesiac, I asked. "Is President Lucas really not considering marrying me?" It's a sure way in. Lucas looked at me. "Are you serious? Do you think I was joking last night?" "No, I thought you were drunk." "All right," I looked at him with a sincere expression. "What about now? Do you want to consider me?" Lucas sized me up. "I heard you had a falling out with Ethan. It seems to be true, but why should I take over?" Not directly refusing meant there was room for negotiation. "For the Water Resources New Street project, I'll give you half a point discount." Lucas tapped his fingers. "In the table 3 points, you're robbing me in broad daylight." I looked at him in disbelief. 1 point, 3 points, 1.5. Can't be more than that. 3 points. I had started to grip my teeth. "Don't push it. 2 points at most." "Deal." Lucas said the amount of money doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm willing to help. What a shameless guy. With the deal settled with Lucas, I gained confidence to negotiate with the Ethan family. So, I arranged to meet with Ethan's father. I didn't expect him to bring Ethan along. After a few days apart, he seemed even more depressed. Before entering the private room, Ethan grabbed my arm. Why didn't you call me? What the engagement is between the two of us. If you want to discuss it, why didn't you call me? I quietly looked at Ethan. Sometimes I really envied him. Even now he remains so naive. I spoke up. You're wrong. The engagement has never been just between the two of us. Ethan glared at me, tightening his grip on my arm to the point it hurt. When Ethan and I entered, Grandpa Ethan was already seated at the head of the table. After some casual talk, he kindly said, I know Ethan has upset you. I brought him here today so you can hit or scold him as you wish. I'll back you up. I smiled briefly. I've taken the liberty to ask you out today to discuss the marriage between the Elizabeth and Ethan families. Grandpa Ethan, I intend to break this engagement. The relaxed atmosphere instantly froze. Ethan jumped to his feet. He spoke each word clearly. I don't agree. Grandpa Ethan's expression darkened. Nonsense. Sit down. Ethan met his father's gaze with a cold smile. What are you going to decide behind my back again? You forced me into this engagement against my will. Now you want to break it against my will? What am I supposed to be, a puppet? Grandpa Ethan slammed the table. What exactly do you want? You didn't agree to the engagement initially, and after 6 years of trouble, how much face have you and the Elizabeth family lost? Since you don't want to break the engagement, what are you trying to achieve? Ethan was momentarily stunned, then lowered his head. Grandpa Ethan looked at him deeply. Get out. Ethan left. Not only did he leave, but he also took me with him. The speed was too fast. He grabbed me and ran like eloping. I didn't even have time to react. Ethan, what are you doing? Ethan tightened his grip, remaining silent. I struggled helplessly, but he only held on tighter. Ah, you're hurting me. I shouted in frustration and directly hit him. It seemed like he finally came to his senses. He suddenly released me, looking flustered. Are you okay? I felt a nod in my heart. I truly didn't understand what Ethan was making a fuss about. I had always thought the resistance to breaking off the engagement would come from the Ethan family, and that Ethan might even help me. I didn't expect him to be the first obstacle. Ethan, what are you doing? Didn't you always want to break off the engagement? Now that it's in line with your wishes, what are you making a fuss about? After hearing my question, Ethan suddenly laughed, but it looked more like crying. In line with my wishes, does my opinion matter to you? Did you ever consult me before making any decisions? I began to understand his meaning. So you think that my proposing to break off the engagement hurts your pride? No problem, you can bring it up. I can even tell everyone in our circle that you dumped me. I smiled as I spoke. Actually, there's no need for that. Didn't you already announce that you have someone else in mind? It would make perfect sense for us to break off the engagement now. Not anymore. What do you mean? Ethan looked at me. I never thought about marrying anyone else. I fell silent for a few seconds. But you will eventually marry someone else. This was something I suddenly realized on the day of his birthday party. After 6 years, I was already tired, while Ethan seemed to have endless energy, still making a fuss. The people at that banquet were not necessarily the ones he genuinely wanted to marry, but one day he would marry. I've never liked being passive, so I needed to make plans early and take control into my own hands. Ethan and I ultimately parted ways unhappily. He only left behind a harsh remark. Elizabeth, this time you don't get to decide. Of course I didn't get to decide, but neither did he. This was something that needed negotiation. Before meeting with Grandpa Ethan, I had already introduced Lucas to my grandfather. We had dinner together and chatted a bit. We didn't say much. Those who understood knew that night Grandpa finally relented. I'm old and can't manage your young affairs anymore. Do whatever you want. This time, I directly went to Grandpa Ethan's office. After an hour of back and forth, the engagement was broken off, and we agreed to announce the cancellation on our respective official websites at 8 the next morning. So what benefits did you give the Ethan family? At that moment, Lucas was no longer the polished elite he appeared to be earlier. He seemed to be in a lazy mood. I called Lucas after leaving the Ethan family's place, wanting to invite him for dinner, but he directly told me to come to his house. I hesitated at first, then I thought this relationship was now different. Why be reserved? In the end, I overthought it. He was just taking the day off and didn't want to go out. He didn't show much hospitality, just cooked 2 steaks and opened a bottle of wine. However, it was quite relaxing. You're overthinking it. Am I the kind of person who bears humiliation? Lucas raised an eyebrow, looking intrigued. I explained, actually, there aren't many things the Ethan family can hold over me. In these 6 years, no one has been foolish. It's all about win-win cooperation. The only exception is the Clearwater Bay project, where the Ethan family is the financial backer. If I break off the engagement, they will withdraw their investment. If they withdrew their investment, that land would become a burden for me and would sever my financial chain. So I urgently needed to find a benefactor, not a good person with funding strength and willingness. Lucas clicked his tongue. Don't look at me with that expression. I was completely confused. He disdainfully said, You make me feel like a big loser. I was taken aback. Could he read minds? How could that be? You're my savior, Lucas sneered. I flattered him. Look, I'm devoted to you. Lucas leaned back lazily. Devoted? I blushed. No making LW jokes as it was almost 9:30. Lucas and I pulled out our phones simultaneously. The news is coming out tomorrow. What do you think about shorting the Ethan Group when the US market opens? Isn't that a bit unscrupulous? Lucas chuckled briefly and ignored me. I looked at him curiously. What are you doing? Seeing the screen on his phone, I gasped. Are you being unscrupulous? Lucas glanced up. Likewise, a bad premonition washed over me. Who did you buy? Lucas replied. Of course, the Ethan family and the Elizabeth family. I wanted to pinch myself. In the end, I weakly added, buy less. Don't blow up my family's company. The next day, the news of our engagement being annulled arrived as expected. The online community erupted, and so did people in our circle. Calls and messages flooded in, asking me what was going on. Annoyed, I posted 4 words on my social media. We have broken up. There was no choice, I was too busy. I also had a group of board members to appease. Suddenly, Ethan burst into the conference room, his assistant looking helpless, mouthing to me, Can't stop him. Ethan was not in good shape. I could even see the bloodshot veins in his eyes, as if he were about to explode with rage. You go to my office first. I'll talk to you after the meeting. Ethan sneered. Elizabeth, you're ruthless, really ruthless. You were the one who said you liked me, who chased me for years, who insisted we get married. Smack. I slammed a folder on the table, interrupting him. Amelia, you take over the meeting, okay? President Elizabeth. I shot Ethan a glance and left the conference room. He followed me into my office. Feeling embarrassed now, Elizabeth? This is all your fault. I never demanded anything from you, nor did I force you. It's you who kept pushing me. I coldly stared at Ethan. Once he finished, I spoke up. It is indeed embarrassing, but the one who's embarrassed is not me. It's the Ethan family. Ethan glared at me as if he wanted to devour me alive. Ethan, this is not your first time barging into my conference room, but it will be the last. Next time I'll have security throw you out. We are all adults now. Adults have adult rules. You can't just come and go as you please. Ethan looked utterly defeated. His face turned pale. He muttered, You said you liked me, Elizabeth. You can't do this. Seeing him like this made me feel a bit powerless. Ethan, can you be a little clearer? Yes, I said I liked you, but that was ages ago. The first time I told him I liked him was in high school. The last time I told him I liked him was also in high school. We were 17 back then. Now we're 26. It's been almost 10 years. In 10 years, my interests, tastes, food, and fashion have all changed drastically. I've long forgotten what liking someone felt like 10 years ago. Does my liking you even matter to you? Ethan staggered back 2 steps. You stopped liking me a long time ago. Yes, you stopped liking me a long time ago. I've done so much over the years, but you've been indifferent. I was dispensable. Even if I kissed someone else, you could just pretend you didn't see it and later warn those people not to post the photos. I tested your bottom line step by step, but you had no bottom line with me. As long as we don't sleep together, it's fine. Ha! As long as we don't sleep together, everyone thinks you're madly in love with me. But I'm the only one who knows you don't love me at all. Ethan roared, why? Why is it that you can love when you say so and not love when you don't? Why is it that when you say engagement it's engagement, and when you say cancellation it's cancellation? Elizabeth, why? I was a bit stunned, blurting out, because I have the ability to do so. Now at the same time I realized something was off. Ethan, you don't like me, do you? Ethan tensed up immediately. He almost instinctively wanted to refute me but restrained himself. I felt it was absurd. Ethan, who taught you how to love someone like this? Ethan seemed to see a glimmer of hope. I don't know how to love someone. I've been wrong all these years. I'll change. Let's not cancel the engagement. Okay, this was the first time he spoke to me in such a humble tone. But honestly, it wasn't necessary. Ethan, I've changed over the years, including my standards for a partner. When I was young, I liked the handsome and rebellious types, but now I prefer someone who can stand shoulder to shoulder with me. You don't qualify. Ethan never met my standards for a partner, but the Ethan family did. I once thought even if Ethan was a little useless, as long as he didn't bring me trouble, it was fine. But the facts over the years have proven that he is indeed a troublemaker. Lucas called me. Is your ex-fiancé still pestering you? I laughed. President Lucas seems well informed. Lucas sneered. It's not that I'm well informed, it's just that your ex-fiancé is making too much noise. I felt a headache coming on. Hearing him refer to Ethan as my ex-fiancé felt a bit sour, but I didn't think he was jealous. Lucas and I are cut from the same cloth. If there was such a commotion on his side, I would be unhappy too. This is a one-time thing. It won't happen again, Lucas replied with a hum. After hanging up, I told my assistant to inform the front desk that Ethan would need an appointment to see me in the future. After a busy day, I finally managed to calm down the board members. When it was almost time to leave, I received another call from Lucas. His tone was somewhat subtle. Your front desk asked me to make an appointment. Oh, I felt like I had forgotten something. No, that wasn't the point. Are you here? Lucas didn't respond. I instantly understood. Give the phone to the front desk. After settling, I instructed my assistant from now on, don't stop Lucas, just let him come up. Lucas, President Lucas. My assistant looked shocked. I nodded. She silently gave me a thumbs up. I felt speechless. Lucas arrived. He didn't come empty-handed. He brought me dinner. I was indeed hungry, but there was way too much food, so I politely expressed that my appetite wasn't that big. Lucas looked exasperated. Can't we eat together? So annoying. Lucas and I rearranged things in the office. We chatted about Clearwater Bay while we ate. After all, he would be holding my lifeline in the future, so I had to be open with him. By the time we finished talking, my stomach was also full. I asked Lucas, you didn't come just to bring me dinner, did you? Lucas raised an eyebrow. I've already met your grandfather. When are you coming back with me to meet my parents? His sudden question startled me, and I choked on my water. I couldn't swallow or spit it out and ended up coughing. Lucas watched me closely. You're not trying to offload me, are you? I suppressed my cough and hurriedly replied. How could that be? Only then did Lucas benevolently pat my back. He scoffed. What a concern. After a while I finally calmed down. I felt helpless. To be honest, I don't have any successful experience interacting with elders. My parents passed away early, and my grandfather raised me. My grandfather is a man who values profit. He nurtured me solely to groom me as an heir, so our interactions have always been based on benefits. If I harm his interests, I get reprimanded. Feelings don't matter. It's all about business. But Lucas's parents are different because my connection is with Lucas, not his parents. For a moment I felt a bit melancholic, but Lucas didn't care. What experiences? Just cater to their preferences. My dad loves tea, my mom loves beauty. I took a deep breath. Next weekend, okay? I got it. Lucas frowned at me. What's wrong? I asked. He flicked my forehead. Don't make it seem like you're going to your death. I'm here. Interacting with Lucas is very comfortable. He is someone who can help me and even lead me. He knows when to hold back and when to push forward. He never makes you feel offended. Plus, ever since I've been with him, I've been making more and more money. You wouldn't be my lucky charm, would you? Lucas smiled and said, Your ability to attract wealth is also quite impressive. I happily extended my hand. Pleasure doing business with you. Lucas obliged and shook my hand. Pleasure doing business with you. I hadn't seen Ethan for a long time. Just when I was about to forget him, he showed up at my door in a disheveled state. Lately, he had been going off the rails. He was driving recklessly in increasingly dangerous places and spending late nights at bars every day. I could see various posts about flashing lights and drinking in my social media feed. I even received a few calls. People were saying that Ethan wouldn't leave, insisting that I go to him. They asked me to persuade Ethan, given our past relationship. Most of those people I had blocked eventually. Things settled down. I didn't expect him to block me at my front door. He stood by the door, clutching a bottle of wine. He seemed to have lost all vitality, looking lifeless. I pretended not to see him and opened the door to go inside. Ethan grabbed my hand. I whispered sternly, Ethan, let go. Ethan's hand trembled. Just as I was hesitating about whether to call the police, he released me. I let out a sigh of relief. As I was closing the door, Ethan spoke up. I know everything. I paused for a moment. He looked up at me, tears glistening in his eyes, his lips trembling. He said, My dad told me that if you hadn't chosen to get engaged to me, he would have brought his illegitimate son home long ago. Ethan raised his arm to shield his eyes. He actually has an illegitimate son who is only 2 years younger than me, and I had no idea. The day after we canceled the engagement, he let the kid into the company, and I was clueless. Recently, he transferred 2% of the shares to him, and I still didn't know until yesterday when he brought him home. He said that was my brother and that I should get along well with him. How is that possible? Is he crazy? I put his illegitimate son in the hospital, and he said that if it weren't for you, he would have replaced me as the heir long ago. Ethan lowered his arm. His eyes were red. He asked me, Elizabeth, am I a failure? I replied flatly, Yes, you're a failure. Ethan gave a bleak smile. You really do hate me. You can't even give me a bit of comfort. He was drunk and I didn't want to argue with him. Ethan took 2 steps back and leaned against the wall. He murmured, It seems I'm always the one who gets left behind. When I was a child, I fought against him, going against everything he said. I thought that if I didn't do what he wanted, it would upset him. I believed indulging myself was my way of punishing him, but he had already given up on me and started cultivating other heirs. And you? Ethan looked at me, half crying, half laughing. I was still trying to figure out how to make you value me more. But you've long stopped liking me. It's only me who's stuck in place while you all have moved on. You all moved ahead, and I'm the only one left behind. You all abandoned me. You don't want me anymore. No one waited for me. None of you waited for me. He repeated these few phrases, completely lost in his own emotions. I called his best friend. It wasn't long before he arrived in a sports car. Looking at me, he sighed. What a complicated fate you two have. I smiled and said nothing. Really can't give him another chance? I shook my head. You said it's a complicated fate. He gritted his teeth and angrily helped Ethan up. I knew he would regret it. Damn it. Ethan's situation made me sigh about lost youth, but apart from that, it didn't affect me much. Instead, it was Lucas's family situation that left me perplexed. Lucas's mother loves beauty, but it was definitely not possible to buy her cosmetics or skincare products. So in the end I chose a diamond necklace. Women love diamonds until death. As for Lucas's father, I figured I should give him tea. I had a few options and planned to ask my grandfather to help me decide, but after my grandfather looked through them, he gave me 4 words: petty and small-minded. I felt helpless. It's already expensive enough. My grandfather snorted, just wait. Before long, he took out a cake of tea and said, Take this. I looked at the simple packaging. Do you want me to get thrown out? My grandfather rolled his eyes. You can't see the big picture. This one is worth 10 of what you have. Really get lost. In the end, I still took it. After all, why not take it if it's free? Before I left, my grandfather reminded me to speak properly when you go to someone else's house. Listen to what the elders say, don't argue. I felt speechless. I wanted to ask him when I ever argued, but saying that would seem like I was indeed arguing, so I could only reluctantly keep my mouth shut. Soon the weekend arrived. Lucas drove over to pick me up. On the way, I felt like a gourd with its mouth sewn shut. The air in the car was so quiet, it was suffocating. Suddenly, Lucas took my hand. "What are you doing?" "Giving you some warmth." "I'm afraid you'll be scared to death before you even arrive." I hesitated and looked at him. "Are you sure you're not trying to take advantage of me?" Lucas snorted coldly. "Isn't it my turn to take advantage?" "It is. You should." The atmosphere in the Lucas family was more harmonious than I expected. The food Lucas's dad made was delicious. Lucas's mom seemed only responsible for being beautiful, but she was indeed pretty. After all, she was once an actress. They really liked my gift, especially Lucas's mom, who put on the necklace right then and there. But the direction of the conversation afterward was a bit confusing. Lucas's dad asked, "When are you two planning to get married?" Lucas looked at me. "Are you planning to get married?" I really wanted to give him a big slap. Is there anyone who leads a person into trouble like this? So I said, "It depends on Lucas. I'll listen to him." Lucas looked at me. I raised my eyebrows at him. In the end, he said, "My idea is to get the certificate at the end of the month and hold the wedding at the end of the year." I was stunned. Lucas's mom was thrilled and excitedly started discussing wedding planning with us. Until I left, I felt like I was in a cloud of confusion. Turns out it's easier to talk about money. Lucas drove me back. After getting out of the car, he looked serious. He said, "What I said today was serious. You can go back and think about it." "Think about what?" "Getting the certificate at the end of the month, getting married at the end of the year." Lucas said, "I'm a businessman, so I need to add some leverage to our partnership." That night, as I lay in bed, I started thinking about marriage. I weighed the pros and cons, analyzing the gains and losses, and found myself in a dilemma. But after drinking a glass of water, I suddenly realized something. Cass seemed to have given me a false proposition. I was originally heading towards marrying him. Whether it was sooner or later, was that really an issue? Obviously not. So I sent him a message. "Lucas, you're so annoying." Lucas replied with a question mark. I ignored him and happily went to sleep. The next day I told him, "Let's set a time to get the marriage certificate." Lucas looked at me. "Are you sure?" I was puzzled. "Aren't we originally heading towards marriage?" Lucas nodded sincerely, saying, "President Elizabeth is awesome." It wasn't until many years later, after our daughter was born, that Lucas told me he had been thinking that girls liked romance, so he had started preparing for the proposal scene. But President Elizabeth was too awesome and allergic to romance, so he just gave up. Yeah, President Lucas has thin skin and was afraid of being laughed at by President Elizabeth. The date we agreed on to get the marriage certificate was 3 days later because on that day, Lucas would officially invest in Clearwater Bay. When we revealed the certificate, it would be a win-win with the stock market definitely looking rosy today. Someone from Ethan's family would come to talk to us about follow-up cooperation. What I didn't expect was that the person who came was Ethan. After being surprised for 2 seconds, I quickly got up to shake his hand. "President Ethan, nice to meet you." Ethan looked at me, gripping my hand a bit too tightly and didn't let go for several seconds. He said, "President Elizabeth, nice to meet you." Without much small talk, we went straight to the point. To my surprise, Ethan didn't seize the opportunity to propose any conditions. All the contracts followed the previous agreements. He said, "President Elizabeth, don't worry. Our matters won't affect the cooperation between the two families." I wondered if Ethan had done something behind the scenes, but it didn't matter. After all, if there's a bargain, why not take advantage of it? So we smoothly signed the contract. "President Elizabeth, can I treat you to a meal?" Of course. Since Ethan had decided to get involved in the company's affairs, we would have plenty of chances to work together in the future. If I couldn't avoid it, I might as well embrace it. President Elizabeth wasn't afraid. The place Ethan chose was one I often went to, but it was my first time with him. He ordered dishes, all of which I loved, and I pretended not to notice. I raised my glass. "Thank you, President Ethan, for your generous hospitality today. I hope we have a pleasant cooperation in the future." Ethan smiled brightly at me. "Do we need to be this formal now that the engagement is off? Can't we at least be friends? More friends mean more opportunities." I set my glass down. Of course we can. But Ethan was taken aback. His expression darkened. Do you really have no feelings for me at all? I felt a bit of a headache. How did I not realize he was such a hopeless romantic during our past encounters? Ethan, since you're in the company now, just focus on your work and don't think about all those messy things. Ethan stared at me without blinking. If I work hard, can you give me another chance? I was confused. What chance? Ethan said. Elizabeth, I won't give up on you. My heart felt complicated. How should I politely tell him that I was about to get married? Ethan, you can do anything, but don't do it for me. I won't pay for someone else's life. So for all these years, you've never advised me. What I want to do is my business. It has nothing to do with you. Once what I do crosses your bottom line, you'll kick me away, right? Ethan became agitated. I looked at him. So are you blaming me? Ethan's eyes flickered. That's not what I mean. I rubbed my temples. Ethan, I'm a year younger than you. I've had to fight my way through everything on my own. I can't even be sure that the path I'm taking is the right one. Why should I plan your life for you? Again, you can do anything, but don't drag me into it. I won't pay for your life. I stood up to leave. Ethan reached out to stop me. At that moment, the door to the private room was pushed open. Lucas walked in. I heard from the manager that you were here. I stepped forward and linked my arm with his. Let me introduce you, Lucas, my husband. Ignoring the pale expression on Ethan's shocked face, I pulled Lucas away. What's this? Using me? What's this? Aren't you? Am I? Is it legally recognized? Then I'm just exercising my rights as a wife in advance. Is that okay? Lucas chuckled and took my hand. Of course it is, Mrs. Lucas. Ethan seemed greatly provoked by my words. He unceremoniously grabbed me. Don't do this, Elizabeth. Don't treat me like this. You're lying to me, aren't you? I'm taking revenge on you, right? His gaze was full of pleading. Before I could react, Lucas pulled me behind him. Ethan, have some self-respect. Get lost. Ethan shouted, his eyes bloodshot. Give me Elizabeth back. Lucas smiled slightly. Ethan, you've already canceled the engagement. Ethan threw a punch at Lucas. This is between me and Elizabeth. It has nothing to do with you. I never expected him to throw a punch. I gasped, about to reach for Lucas when he sidestepped and pinned Ethan against the wall. Are you okay? I asked, worried as I looked at Lucas. Ethan, who had been looking at me, now had a dull light in his eyes. I was furious too, Ethan. This is really pointless. I don't care if you truly regret it or not. We've already canceled the engagement, so please bite down on your emotions, swallow them with your teeth and blood, and don't provoke me again. Lucas and I went down to the underground parking lot. Just before getting into the car, he suddenly grabbed my arm. What's wrong? He looked at me with a smile in his eyes. President Elizabeth is pretty cool. I think I'm starting to like you a bit. I raised an eyebrow. Just a bit. Lucas replied. Then a bit more. I raised my hand to straighten his collar. President Elizabeth approves. We had a partnership, we were getting married, and maybe we would be together for a lifetime. I didn't mind developing feelings for Lucas too. Later, Lucas and I got up early. We rushed to the Civil Affairs Bureau, and our assistant had already gotten us a number. We stood shoulder to shoulder, foreheads touching, and took a registration photo. To be honest, my heart raced a bit at that moment. We got our certificate as quickly as possible and then hurried back to the company. Lucas officially made his investment. Soon, the official website posted our marriage certificate alongside our partnership announcement. Mr. Lucas, congratulations on your marriage. Here's to a successful partnership. Mrs. Lucas, congratulations on your marriage. Here's to a successful partnership. After we received our marriage certificate, Lucas and I moved in together. We chose a property under his name, which was close to our workplaces. We were very compatible both in work and in life. This made my life gradually flourish. Feeling triumphant, I began to expand my career. I wanted to dabble in any profitable business. After all, having someone powerful behind you makes you bold. Before long, Lucas and I were dubbed the wealth-accumulating couple, a title I accepted gladly. I hadn't followed Ethan's news for a long time. When I heard about him again, He had already been sent abroad. This piqued my curiosity. His father was indeed disappointed in him. His father's decision to nurture an illegitimate child was partly to leave himself a backup plan, but more so to pressure Ethan. The catfish effect, a cornered beast fighting back. Those who think they have a throne to inherit often enjoy playing such games, like Ethan's father and my grandfather. But to say he was completely given up on would be an exaggeration, especially now that Ethan had started doing serious work. So what had really happened? If there's a problem, consult President Lucas. President Lucas casually remarked he wanted to go down with me, but his dad found out. What did he mean by go down with me? Ethan's plan was simple, to seize the business. He didn't consider the costs or the profits, he just went for it. But he had no say in the company. As soon as he issued the directive, his father learned about it. An intense argument ensued between the two. Ethan declared that he wouldn't let Lucas off easy. This impulsiveness completely disappointed his father. To avoid any trouble he might cause, they sent him abroad. Why didn't you tell me? President Lucas glanced at me. What should I tell you? That your ex-fiancé loves the fairer sex more than power? Am I that bored? Of course, President Lucas was not bored. He was very busy. He had to juggle business and prepare for the wedding at the end of the year. I suggested outsourcing it and accepting sponsorship. Lucas was annoyed when he heard this. Before I could say more, he kissed me. By the end of that kiss, I couldn't even remember what I wanted to say. Later, the wedding was magnificently arranged by Lucas. He let me experience a dreamlike ceremony. Ethan also attended, dressed to the nines as if he were there to reclaim me. However, he didn't do anything. He simply sat quietly there and then left quietly later. Lucas kissed me. He said, "Mrs. Lucas, for the rest of our lives, I hope for your guidance."